Hi there, students. Thin air. Thin air talks about a state of nothingness, a state of non-existence, nowhere to be found. And normally it's into thin air, to vanish into thin air, to disappear into thin air, to go into thin air. And the opposite, out of thin air, to come out of thin air, to appear out of thin air. So into thin air, to disappear completely to nothing. And out of thin air, to appear from nothing. So they can demand all of the money that they want, but I can't come up with 20,000 quid out of thin air. They built the company out of thin air. The money has vanished into thin air. I could not find my friend at the party at all. He had disappeared into thin air. So into thin air, someone or something disappears completely and suddenly, and you have no idea where it's gone. So something goes into thin air, it vanishes into thin air, or it comes out of thin air, it's produced out of thin air. I was getting really angry with the student because he hadn't done his homework, or so I thought, and suddenly he produced it from thin air. My keys from time to time seem to vanish into thin air. They seem to disappear into thin air. Okay, so they disappear and I just don't know where they've gone. People's worries just disappeared into thin air, to disappear in a very sudden and very mysterious way. Yeah, have your keys ever disappeared into thin air? Or somebody produces something out of thin air. They make it appear. They make something materialize out of thin air. He's just such a good cook because he can make a meal appear out of what seems to be thin air. He doesn't seem to have any ingredients at all, and out of thin air suddenly you've got a fantastic meal. So he disappeared into thin air and I couldn't find him. The money disappeared into thin air. The accountant had had embezzled all of the company's money and had disappeared into thin air. He'd vanished into thin air. Okay, so into thin air, to disappear completely. Out of thin air, to appear suddenly and mysteriously. So it can't have vanished into thin air. The fairy appeared out of thin air. It materialized out of thin air. Okay, so to disappear into thin air, the visitors then appeared out of thin air, said hello, and then disappeared into thin air. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. I can't conjure up the money out of thin air. Yeah, I can't come up with 20,000 quid out of thin air. It'll take me a while to find the money. It seems like the researchers just pulled the numbers out of thin air. They didn't actually do any work. The magician at a stroke could make things vanish into thin air, to disappear into thin air, to evaporate into thin air. He produced a rabbit out of thin air. Okay, so thin air, into thin air, out of thin air, from nothing into nothing. Okay, so thin air, an unknown location. It's usually just some sort of humorous figurative use. Into the middle of nowhere. Air is thin. I guess at the top of a mountain air is thin. But this is an idiom. It disappeared into thin air. His confidence disappeared into thin air, to vanish completely. Okay, into thin air, out of thin air. 4.5 informality. Use informally, using a semi-formal conversation, semi-formal writing, just but stop there. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Into thin air, out of thin air.